Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to be running my Expression Finder PySpark program from my single node big data virtual machine. The dataset I'm going to be using is a Yelp Reviews dataset which contains roughly 5.9 million reviews on different businesses, along with two other metadata files, one containing the business names and one containing the usernames of the users who wrote these reviews. Now this program takes in a user inputted expression, searches through the reviews and returns the top businesses who have reviews written about them that contain that user input expression, and the top users who use that user inputted expression when writing a review. I developed this PySpark program in a Jupyter Notebook where the data was stored in a Hadoop distributed file system. I'll be accessing the data via Hive and using Spark as my processing engine with Python as the programming interface. Now I'm going to take you through my code at a very high level. First, I initialize both the Spark and Hive context, which will allow me to interact with both these technologies from my notebook. I then load in all three of the Yelp datasets stored in HDFS via Hive. And then I have a series of user-defined functions which I call from my Spark transformations in my main method. So reconstructing RDDs, creating joins between all three of those RDDs to get a single view of the review, username, and business name, as currently they're spread out across three different files. Converting things to lowercase, removing punctuation for data cleansing. I can then split my results into the business name and the usernames, and then aggregate the occurrence of each of those business names and usernames. And finally, I get to visualize my outputs using Python's matplotlib. So if we head over to the main method, I'll take you through the main stages of this program. So after the data has been loaded in, what we do is reconstruct the RDDs. We create the join between all three of them. So we have one single outputted RDD, which contains a review, business name, and username. We then call our lower function and remove punctuation function through a map Spark transformation to clean the data. And then we call the Spark transformation filter, which creates a new RDD, which only includes the reviews, business name, and usernames of those reviews that contain the user inputted expression. Once we have those reviews that contain our user inputted expression, we can then split them into two separate RDDs, one for business names and one for usernames, where we assign them both a count of 1. Finally, we can call the Spark transformation reduced by key, which will aggregate all this data. And then we can go into sorting our data and then visualizing our results. I'm now going to run this PySpark program so you guys can see the output. So I'm only going to be running this on 100,000 reviews for the interest of time. This does take 5 minutes, but I'll speed that up in the video. So first I'm asked, would I like to enter debug mode? Select no. It's then going to set the Spark and Hive context, and like I mentioned above, what this does is allow us to interact with both those technologies from our notebook. I will then be asked what user input expression I'd like to search for. So let's look for the expression best pizza. Reviews I'd like to analyze, let's look at 100,000. How many top businesses and usernames would I like returned? So let's go for 15. And yes, I would like my results visualized. So I'm going to let this program run and I'll see you guys in about 5 minutes. As you guys can see, the results have just been returned back. So we're presented with two different lists, the top 15 businesses who have received a review that includes the user input expression, where number 1 was Grimaldi's Pizzeria on count of 13, and the top 15 users who wrote reviews that contained the user inputted expression, and the top user was Christopher. You then have these two lists visualized in a bar chart, so the top businesses that contain best pizza, and the top users who have used best pizza in their reviews. We then have the execution times here, so data loading took 40 seconds, data processing took 387 seconds, and in total 100,000 reviews were executed in 427.06 seconds.